Hello. Today General Hospital will reveal the unexpected and tragic news of Sam McCall's death left Port Charles in a state of mourning. Her passing was a devastating blow to everyone who knew her. Sam had always been the epitome of resilience and strength, a figure who, no matter the circumstances, found a way to fight through the toughest challenges. Whether it was her work as a private investigator or her fierce devotion to those she loved, Sam's presence in the town was undeniable. Jason Morgan, her partner in both life and love, was particularly shattered by her death. He had watched her overcome countless dangers, only to have her taken from him so suddenly, so tragically. It didn't make sense, and yet, it was all too real. The grief weighed heavily on him as he struggled to move forward without her. But even in the darkest of moments, whispers began to spread like wildfire. As days passed, rumors began circulating on social media. Whispers that suggested Sam might not have died after all. The fans, ever loyal to the characters they held dear, began to piece together a new theory. Could Sam have faked her death? Could she have been part of a larger, more complex scheme that involved far more danger than anyone had realized? What if the death, the funeral, the tears, and the sorrow were all part of a carefully orchestrated plan to protect Sam from a powerful, unseen enemy? As this theory gained traction, the heart of the mystery deepened. The whispers became louder, spreading through the fan community like wildfire. And as more and more people speculated about her return, the narrative began to shift. Could this truly be the moment when Sam would make her grand return, not as a ghost, but as a force that had been quietly working in the shadows the entire time? The most popular theory among the fans was one that involved the World Security Bureau, WSB. As many speculated, it seemed too convenient that Sam, the seasoned investigator with impeccable skills, would die in such an unremarkable way. Instead, what if her death was staged by WSB? Could it be that they had orchestrated this tragic turn of events in order to protect her from an overwhelming and deadly threat that was too dangerous for anyone to know? The idea that the WSB had staged Sam's death as part of a grander covert operation made sense when put into context. Port Charles was no stranger to dangerous schemes, covert dealings, and shadowy figures. And just as Sam's supposed death rattled the town, it also sent a ripple of confusion and chaos through the criminal underworld. The timing of her death was far too suspicious, with the return of Britt Westbourne and the increasing presence of dark forces such as Professor Hank Dalton's secretive experiments in Paris. All of these things began to tie together. Was there a hidden hand behind all of this? Could it be that the WSB had not only protected Sam from a deadly fate, but also recruited her into their clandestine operations? Imagine this scenario. With Port Charles still reeling from the fallout of various covert operations, the WSB decided to take a drastic measure to ensure Sam's safety. They staged her death and left Jason and the entire town to believe that Sam had perished. Her death became the perfect cover, one that would give her the freedom to work under the radar, to infiltrate dangerous organizations, and to gather intelligence on a level that no one in the town could have imagined. Jason, still consumed by the grief of losing her, never suspected a thing. He was left in the dark, his pain and confusion feeding into the WSB's strategy. But what if Sam was not gone at all? What if she had been working all along, in secret, with an elite group of operatives? Her skills as a detective, her sharp instincts, and her deep knowledge of the criminal underworld made her the perfect candidate for a highly dangerous mission. The WSB's plan involved using Sam as an undercover agent. She would go into hiding, her death a necessary lie to protect her from the very criminals who had targeted her. And so, while the world believed Sam had been killed, she was in fact very much alive. She was far from being a victim of fate, she was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes. Her work in the shadows would lead her to Paris, where she would become entangled in the web of Britt Westbourne's dangerous dealings and Professor Dalton's illegal experiments. But what of the evidence? Fans began to speculate that, during her time away, Sam had been gathering pieces of a much larger puzzle. Could it be that her investigations were much deeper than anyone had anticipated? Could Sam have uncovered the truth behind the shady dealings of the WSB itself? The idea that she was now working directly with Britt, someone who had always been both an ally and an adversary, only added more layers to the mystery. As Sam navigated this treacherous path, she would uncover secrets that no one could have predicted, leading to a shocking revelation. Sam was not just in Paris by accident, she had been sent there deliberately, not only to monitor Britt but to uncover an even greater conspiracy. As the fans eagerly followed these theories, they began to piece together a more complex picture. Sam's resurrection would not be a simple return, it would be a dramatic, earth-shattering comeback. She would return not as a passive victim, but as an empowered and skilled agent, determined to take down the dangerous forces that had caused so much pain in her life. Her return would cause a ripple effect that would shatter the status quo in Port Charles, testing the limits of loyalty, love, and justice. When Sam finally did return, she would not come back empty-handed. She would come back armed with knowledge that could turn the tide in the war between good and evil, shaking the very foundation of Port Charles itself. Her time in hiding would make her stronger, smarter, and more determined than ever before. And as the mystery of her supposed death unraveled, the truth would become clear. Sam McCall was never truly gone, she had merely been waiting for the right moment to emerge from the shadows, ready to fight, and ready to take down anyone who threatened her loved ones and the town she held dear. And so, the question on everyone's mind remained, when would Sam return? Would it be a triumphant reappearance, with her stepping back into the lives of those who thought they had lost her forever? Or would her return set off a chain reaction that no one could have foreseen, as the secrets of her hidden life came crashing into the world of Port Charles, threatening to destroy everything in its path? One thing was certain, when Sam McCall came back, nothing would ever be the same again. As the residents of Port Charles continue to grapple with the fallout of Sam McCall's supposed death, a new, even more shocking theory has begun to circulate among the fans. What if Sam didn't die at all? What if she was not the victim of an unfortunate accident or an assassination plot, but instead the target of something far more sinister? What if her disappearance was the result of a meticulously crafted conspiracy, one orchestrated by none other than the notorious Cassadine family? Could it be that Sam, once a strong and independent private investigator, had been abducted, brainwashed, and manipulated into serving the very family that had wreaked havoc on so many lives in Port Charles? With rumors swirling around the potential return of the formidable Helena Cassadine, Constance Towers, the possibility of Sam's connection to the Cassadines becomes an increasingly tantalizing prospect. Helena, with her unparalleled ruthlessness and expertise in manipulation, has always been a dark figure in the town's history, and her return could spell disaster for those who thought they were safe from her grasp. Could it be that, in her last desperate attempt to maintain control over her empire, Helena orchestrated a plan to kidnap Sam? The theory suggests that Sam's disappearance was not a mere accident but the result of a carefully calculated plot to neutralize her. In this twisted scenario, Sam's body could have been swapped with another, a decoy used to throw her loved ones off the scent while she was hidden away in some remote, undisclosed location. Imagine this. Sam's abduction was carried out with surgical precision, possibly taking place in a facility hidden deep in the heart of Europe, far from the prying eyes of Port Charles. Could it have happened in Paris, where Britt Westbourne had been mysteriously operating under a veil of secrecy? Or perhaps it was in Croatia, where tensions were high and no one could truly track her whereabouts. The mastermind behind Sam's disappearance could very well have been Helena, working from the shadows to ensure that her plan succeeded. Sam's life would have been nothing more than a carefully manipulated narrative, a life controlled and dictated by the Cassadines. But what of Sam herself? In this version of events, Sam would have been subjected to a brutal form of mind control, a psychological break that would erase her memories, leaving her in a state of complete confusion. When she eventually awakens, she would find herself in an unfamiliar place, surrounded by people she did not recognize and unable to remember who she truly was. The memories of her life in Port Charles, the love she shared with Jason, her work as a private investigator, and her deep connections to the town, would all be wiped away, leaving behind only a shell of the woman she used to be. For Sam, the journey would begin in a haze of disorientation and fear. The blank slate of her mind would be the perfect tool for the Cassadines to mold her into whatever they wished. But as the weeks pass, Sam would slowly begin to piece together the fragments of her life, each memory more elusive than the last. Perhaps, in the quiet moments, she would catch a glimpse of a face, a voice, or a feeling that seemed familiar, something that tugged at the corners of her consciousness. But with every memory she recovered, the danger would only grow. The Cassadines, particularly Helena, would stop at nothing to ensure that Sam remained under their control, using her as a pawn in their devious game. Meanwhile, in Port Charles, the people who loved Sam would not give up hope. Jason, still reeling from the loss of his partner, would continue to search for answers. He would feel Sam's absence in every part of his life, but he would also hold on to the belief that she was still out there, somewhere, waiting to be found. He would refuse to believe that she was gone forever, even when every lead seemed to come up empty. His love for Sam, though tempered by grief, would drive him to keep pushing forward, unwilling to accept the crushing finality of her death. But then, a twist of fate would bring Sam back into their lives. However, when she returns, she won't be the same Sam they once knew. She will have no recollection of the family, the love, or the life that she had once built. Her memory, shattered by the Cassadines' manipulation, would make it impossible for her to reconnect with Jason or any of her old friends. The people she loved would be strangers to her, and the world she had once fought to protect would feel foreign and unrecognizable. This scenario would open the door for an explosive family reunion, one that could completely alter the course of the town's future. Sam's connection to the Cassadines, especially in light of Spencer Cassadine's potential return, would add a new layer of intrigue to the ongoing battle for power. Could Sam, in her altered state, become an unwilling ally of the Cassadines? Or would the love and loyalty she had for Jason and her friends ultimately overpower the programming that had been forced upon her? The emotional turmoil of reuniting with her family, all while struggling to remember who she truly was, would create a heartbreaking and complex narrative. Moreover, the Cassadine family connection could open the door for even more chaos. With Spencer's return looming on the horizon, could Sam's ties to the infamous family be the catalyst that leads to a dramatic upheaval in Port Charles? Would her return, especially with her memory loss, spark a series of betrayals, secrets, and shocking revelations that could tear the town apart? It's possible that Sam's struggle to regain her memories might reveal hidden truths about her connection to the Cassadines, truths that could change everything for those who thought they knew her best. In the end, Sam's return would not just be a physical one, it would be a journey of self-discovery, redemption, and reinvention. She would have to fight not only for her life but for the memories that once defined her. The Cassadines may have taken everything from her, but Sam McCall was not a woman who could easily be broken. As she pieces together her past, she will also reclaim her future, and in doing so, she will once again become the force that Port Charles, and Jason, so desperately need. The question remains, when Sam finally comes face to face with those she once loved, will they be able to rebuild what was lost, or will her connection to the Cassadines forever alter the course of their destinies? The return of Sam McCall, whether she is the same person who left or a completely different version, will set the stage for the most explosive chapter of Port Charles's history yet. And in a town built on secrets, lies, and betrayals, no one will be prepared for the consequences of her return. The whispers around Port Charles have grown louder in recent weeks, as fans of General Hospital anxiously speculate about the possibility of Sam McCall's return. For many, her disappearance was a devastating blow, a loss that still lingers in the hearts of viewers and characters alike. Sam was not just a private investigator, she was the rock on which so many stories in Port Charles were built. Her role in the lives of Jason Morgan, her son Danny, and many others made her a central figure in the soap's complex web of relationships. And now, after the shock of her sudden departure, fans are clinging to a thread of hope that she might not be gone forever. But what would her return look like? How could the show bring her back in a way that feels earned, emotionally satisfying, and true to her character? These questions are swirling, and the possibility of her resurrection raises both excitement and concern among fans. There's a split in the fanbase, with some passionately supporting the idea of Sam's return, feeling that Jason needs her now more than ever, while others remain cautious, fearing that the emotional weight of her departure would be undermined by a lazy and unearned plot twist. Sam's death, or what appeared to be her death, left a gaping hole in the show. Her absence has left Jason and their son, Danny Morgan, struggling to fill the void, and the emotional fallout has been palpable. Many believe that Sam's return would be a cathartic moment for Jason, who has dealt with unimaginable loss throughout his life. But for others, the fear is that the return of Sam would feel like a cheap plot device, an attempt to reel in viewers without providing the depth and emotional resonance the storyline deserves. The delicate balance of her resurrection is key. Anything less than an impactful and thoughtful return could leave the audience feeling cheated. To make her return feel justified, the writers need to provide a compelling reason for her disappearance, one that aligns with the established tone and complexity of General Hospital. One of the most intriguing possibilities circulating among fans is the theory that Sam's disappearance was not caused by an accident, but rather by a masterful manipulation involving the Cassadine family. Specifically, Helena Cassadine. If Sam's death was staged as part of a larger conspiracy involving the Cassadines, it would immediately introduce a new layer of intrigue, pushing the boundaries of the soap's long-running themes of mystery and family betrayal. The Cassadines are no strangers to dark, twisted plots, and their legacy of secrets and manipulation could serve as the perfect backdrop for Sam's unexpected return. Imagine this scenario: Sam was not killed but instead abducted by the Cassadines, with her death serving as a smokescreen for her true fate. Helena, always plotting in the shadows, could have orchestrated Sam's disappearance as part of a much larger plan. Perhaps Sam was taken to a secluded location, maybe even in Paris, where Britt Westbourne has recently been hiding from her past. The idea of Sam being locked away, far from her loved ones, would create a sense of suspense and mystery that would captivate fans. This is where the potential for emotional drama truly shines. Sam's return would not just be about reappearing in Port Charles, it would be about unearthing the trauma she endured while in captivity. Imagine her waking up in an unfamiliar location, disoriented, with no memory of what happened to her or why she was taken. This amnesia arc would provide a gripping narrative, as Sam slowly starts to piece together fragments of her former life. The dissonance of waking up in an unfamiliar place, surrounded by strangers or even old enemies, would make her journey to reclaim her identity, and her memories, painfully slow and heartbreaking. Fans would follow Sam's journey of rediscovery, watching as she wrestles with her fragmented recollections and the guilt of abandoning her family. What would make this return even more captivating is the psychological tension that would unfold as Sam comes to terms with what has happened to her. Would she remember Jason? Would she recognize her son, Danny, after months or even years of being apart? The emotional toll on Sam would be immense as she tries to reconcile the woman she was before her abduction with the person she has become under the Cassadines' manipulation. These questions would create a compelling emotional arc, as Sam's return becomes not just a physical reappearance, but a struggle for her very identity. Now, let's take this further. Imagine that Sam wasn't the only person held captive. What if Spencer Cassadine, another beloved character with a tangled past, was also part of this plot? Could Spencer and Sam have been held together, in a place designed to break them both mentally and emotionally? The alliance between Sam and Spencer would create a compelling partnership, one born of mutual survival and shared trauma. Together, they could plot their escape, using their combined skills to outwit the people who thought they had broken them. This could lead to an emotionally powerful moment when Sam and Spencer finally break free of Helena's grasp and return to Port Charles, only to find the world they left behind has changed, and so have they. The chemistry between Sam and Spencer could create a fascinating dynamic. Spencer, being raised in the shadow of the Cassadine Empire, has his own complicated relationship with his family. Sam, who has experienced betrayal and loss firsthand, could serve as a guiding figure for Spencer, showing him that not all bonds are based on blood. Sometimes, it's the relationships we choose that define us. This alliance could be the catalyst for Spencer's eventual redemption and growth, as he comes to terms with the darker parts of his family's legacy and learns to forge his own path. When Sam and Spencer finally make it back to Port Charles, the drama would escalate. Jason, still grappling with the fallout of Sam's disappearance, would have to confront not just the physical absence of his partner but the emotional consequences of her betrayal, her decision to disappear for the sake of protecting him and their son. Could Jason forgive Sam for abandoning them? Could Sam make amends for the pain she caused?